Senator Babet, did you want the call? I just have a note here. Senator Babet.
Yes, thank you, Acting Deputy President. Now, obviously, I thank Senator Van for his motion and the opportunity to make a contribution to it. Now, we must shine a light on the government's Rewiring the Nation program. That's obvious, a program that feels like it was inspired by that ABC show, comedy/documentary, whatever it is, by the name of Utopia. Documentary, I've been told. Now, that show, if you haven't seen it, it's about a bunch of bureaucrats who are in charge of big building schemes. That's what it is. Now, I don't watch the ABC, and I don't imagine many on this side of the chamber would, and rightly so. It's garbage. Now, I've just been told about the show, guys. I've just been told about it. Now, the government has thrown billions of dollars at this Rewiring the Nation program. Billions. A program that stinks to high heaven of desperation, and it seeks to cover up the massive policy failure that is our nation's transition to so-called renewable energy. What is renewable in the name of God about renewable energy? What is renewable about solar panels that last 15 to 20 years and then go in landfill? Yeah? Or wind turbines that last about the same and then also end up in landfill. The only thing that is renewable about renewable energy is the cost. That is the only thing that is renewable about it. It is not a good technology. Now, the Albanese government is at this very moment attempting to crisscross the nation with a spider web of power lines as it attempts to retrofit our energy grid. Now, this project is obviously going to impact farmland, and it's going to make power bills unaffordable. And you know who's going to suffer? It's the poorest in our country that's going to suffer. The poorest. The inner city Teal voters ain't going to suffer. People in this place here ain't going to suffer. Just the poorest in our nation. Now, I call it a vanity project because, and this is the astonishing part, the whole exercise is wholly unnecessary. We don't need to do it. If the government would just, for a moment, step back from the cult-like obsession. And that's what it is. It's a cult-like obsession with renewables, and just for a second, consider nuclear power. It would be immediately evident that rewiring the nation is just not needed. Why? I'll tell you why. Because nuclear power plants can be built in the exact same footprint where we have the coal-fired power stations right now. They'll plug right into the existing transmission line infrastructure, and they can start powering the nation straight away. No need for anything else. Build it, plug it in, we're good to go. No spaghetti network of wires needed, no farmland needing to be usurped, no billions spent for the needless duplication of transmission lines that we already have, it's already there. No need for struggling families to be in mortal fear every time they get that bill from the power company. Speaking of the bill from the power company, you might know what I'm going to say next. Where is my $275, Mr. Prime Minister? I still haven't got it. I'm waiting for it. When am I going to get it? The answer is never, because power bills ain't going down. They're only going one way, and that's up into the heavens. That's where they're going. Now, system costs are much lower for nuclear than for wind and for solar. There is no need to build a great deal of infrastructure to use this energy source, of which we have an abundant amount of fuel in South Australia for. Now, in contrast, as we've already heard from some other contributions, wind and solar, they require around $100 billion of additional funding to meet the 2050 net zero targets. $100 billion. Now, we all know how the government works. We all know how bureaucracies work. It's not going to be $100 billion. It's going to be much more than that. Let's be honest. Let's not kid ourselves. Much more than that. $100 billion is a pipe dream. That's what it is. Now, future generations, they will look back at this present government. They'll look back and they'll marvel. They'll marvel at the pig-headedness that insisted on torching taxpayer money, duplicating transmission lines. Not to save the planet, no. There's nothing about this that's saving the planet. What's saving the planet about digging up more minerals? What's saving the planet about putting in more transmission lines? What's saving the planet about solar panels and wind turbines that end up in landfill? That's not saving the planet. That's killing the planet. It's killing the planet. It's more pollution is what it is. It's no good. Now, the whole point of this is ideology. That's what it is. It's not practical at all. Now, the bottom line is that Australian families and businesses are being forced to spend money that they don't have for these transmission lines. Now, we don't have to solve a climate crisis. Why? Because a climate crisis does not exist. It does not exist. There is nothing here to save. Now, if you had made an argument and you had said to me, we need to cut back on pollution, I'd listen to you. If you had said, okay, microplastics in the ocean, if you had said runoff from factories and things like that going into estuaries and creeks, if you had said we need to make companies responsible for the real pollution that they produce when they're making goods and services, I'm on board for that. But if you tell me that CO2, a colourless, odourless gas that we need as the very foundation, the building blocks of life, is somehow a pollutant, well, you're just mad. That's what you are. You're mad. And this whole thing about the science is settled, I'll tell you what, science is never settled. It's never settled. That's just absolute garbage. So in conclusion, I'd like to say we need to look at nuclear energy. It is the best way forward, or better yet, more coal and more gas. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my kind of party. The United Australia Party. So sound the starting gun. You know we've just been